Of course. Next up, the conversation continues because we're going to talk specifically about discounts. We're going to talk about these prices. We're going to talk about what we do to create a stable and actionable market here in Ohio. I'll introduce our next moderator, Josh Brook. Come on up on stage, my friend. Let's give it up for Josh and this next panel talking about discounts in Ohio. Thank you. Yeah. Go right up ahead.
Conversation that we were having in the back in the green room, really, talking all about discounts in Ohio specifically. Just go down the line, I think, and just kind of tell us a little bit of how we got here and maybe the impact on retailers, on organizations, vendors moving forward through the state. Mo, you can go first.
My name?
There you go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lo. I'm with Treehaus. We're a cultivator and processor here in Ohio, and we'll be opening our dispensary in the spring in Parma. I also own a facility in Washington State, so very familiar with what the future holds here in Ohio and the reality of discounting. But we're a small mom-and-pop family business here in Ohio, and we're in Cleveland, so Northeast Ohio is very familiar with the easy path to Michigan, and something that Cincinnati doesn't experience. And so discounting, aggressive pricing, providing value for your consumer and giving them a reason not to drive to Michigan to buy all their product for themselves and all their friends is critical to our own business. So when we launched earlier this year, we came in hot with really aggressive pricing and have, approached our retail partners with, how do we convert people not only to ourselves, who are a new brand on the market, outside of what they've been buying for years, as well as bringing in those consumers that are driving to Michigan and looking for lower prices. So discounting is here to stay, and it's really just about positioning yourself to beat that market that's both the illicit side and Michigan.
I'm Ed Schmults, CEO of Firelands Scientific. We're a vertical operator here in Ohio and West Virginia, but that's not relevant. 6 stores in Ohio, 2 more in process. So we also sell to about 150 of the doors in the state of Ohio. So we're a wholesaler as well as a retailer. So we see it from all sides.
My name is Nevil, Patel. I'm CEO of Shangri-La. Here in Ohio, we have 5 active retail and 3 additional coming up. We do not have any cultivation or manufacturing facility. We have operation in Missouri, Connecticut, and Illinois, in addition to Ohio. As far as discounting is concerned, we see this Ohio market go in a very similar path as Missouri. I think production will continue to increase, therefore prices will continue to come down. In order for us to compete against Michigan, which we were just talking about backstage when my team conducted a research, Michigan, out of the 10 states that we looked at, Michigan per citizen ratio is highest in Michigan. In other words, the last time we checked, every citizen in Michigan on average spent $331 in a legal market. Compare that to Ohio is about 111, almost 1/3. And so we all obviously know where our customers are going. So discounting will continue to be there, but we look more in regards to lowering the prices. So we match those, and our goal would be to not give our Ohio citizens a reason to go to Michigan.
Yeah. Do you have like an overall philosophy or strategy from what maybe we could talk to that point on customers are leaving Ohio going to Michigan. We could talk on that specific point when it comes to discounting strategy. What are some actionable items that you would take to combat some of that?
Sorry, repeat that one more time.
Yeah, what are some specific things that operators can be doing if that is, from Ohio customers are leaving from Ohio to Michigan.
I mean,
what are some discounting like strategies
Yeah,
you
so
could take
that's
to keep them here?
That's an industry-wide strategy of adjusting the prices to that I just talked about. But in the meantime, I think the one can only, so we have about 7 different subscription, and then we take those all in-house, and we have a internal software model that builds in that monitors 70% of our customers, where they come from, where they go, who else are they shopping with, and we try to gain pretty decent understanding of what they're doing. So in meantime, I think the short answer is know your competition and know your customer and understand where they're going, why, and figure out a way to bring them to your doors.
I want to jump on that last piece where you said know your customer, because no matter how much discounting you're doing, you want your customer to feel that they're getting value when they're buying your product or when they're coming to your store, whether they're buying like an $80 half ounce or a $200 half ounce, and that can be, you can be selling the $200 half ounce out the wazoo for 30% off, and that customer feels like they're getting a really good value, right? So when they're going to Michigan, they're looking for like how much can I get for my dollar, but they're also saying like this is a very high value brand that I'm getting much cheaper, for example. So we in our brand at Treehaus, like I said, we're family business. My brother's the cultivator, my parents do our deliveries. We are trying to not only compete with the Michigan side, but also share these like Ohio values, Ohio roots, where, a lot of our customers, a lot of the population of Ohio is working class and, has a max income per household that, you might need to go to Michigan to buy your product so that you can fit that into your budget. And so we're trying to beat that by not only coming in at aggressive pricing, showing people like give us a try through promotion, but also, helping people try the product and then say, that's a great value, I want to stay in Ohio, I want to buy Ohio cannabis. So, we can, like I said, discounts are here to stay. It is a little bit of a retail strategy game that's in every industry. Look at the Bed Bath & Beyond 40% off coupon that comes in your mail every month. But it's about, as a brand, from the wholesale side, understanding who your consumer is, what price point do they need to be buying at, and are they getting the value that you want them to get?
Yeah, I'd add a couple of things to that. I mean, the quarter of Ohio is a dead zone, right? That upper northwestern corner near the Michigan border. I had a busboy in a restaurant in Cleveland. When he found out I was in the weed business, said, oh, dude, I drive to Michigan to get my weed. It was killing me. We have a store in Huron. He's like, nope, it's cheaper in Michigan. So what we've done is we've lowered our prices in our Huron store, and it's having an effect, right? Certainly having an effect on our margin, but our sales are up because people are deciding, hey, I don't need to drive all that way. I can get, a good deal here. I worked in California for a while, and there's a retailer there called Catalyst, and they did something really interesting. They said, we're not competing with the cannabis stores, we're competing with all the illegal stores that are rampant in California. And he cut his prices 25, 30%, which effectively was the tax differential that the legal stores had to charge. And he just went bare bones. And he's maybe not making a lot of money, but he's crushing it on the top line, and he's expanding. So that recognition of who is your competition, it may not be these folks here on the stage with me, it may be Michigan, and certainly intoxicating hemp. I think the other thing we all need to think about is discounts. As a retailer, you do a discount to influence customer behavior, to get them to come in to buy something you want them to buy. The implication there is that prices are kind of stable, and I think we have a double whammy going on here. Prices are probably going to decline in Ohio for the next 2 or 3 years. At least that's our belief. If you just look at every other state, there's no reason to think Ohio is any different. So you have a declining base price environment, and on top of that, you have to discount to remain competitive. It presents some challenges.
Yeah, oh man, that's fascinating. With prices declining and now discounts on top of that. We've said the word cheap a couple of times, and we've said the word value a couple of times. And how can we reframe as retailers? How can you reframe cheap weed versus valuable weed? Are there specific things that you can do in-store or digitally to help reframe your consumer's mindset on those things?
Well, that's a difficult question. We don't believe in selling cheap weed in general. The verbiage associates with the quality right away. So value is a way we would like to go, but cheap weed. I mean, a simple way to the definition of cheap weed is when you look up on our menu and search for 8 and then do low to high, and whatever's your lowest price, that's so-called your cheapest option available. But that's not necessarily your value, right? Your value is something I mean, if we look at normal market, right? Let's talk about vehicle market. The cheapest vehicle available, right? Would you rather look at the cheapest vehicle available and be happy, or would you rather have your, I don't know, $100,000, Tesla available to you at $70,000? That's value, right? So that's how, and that's no different in cannabis industry.
I think there's an interesting thing happening in Ohio. You have to look at your segments. And again, I don't want to be the guy who compares everything to California, but I worked there for 5 years, and it was miserable. Much better here in Ohio. But in California, there's a pretty clear brand segmentation, a brand pyramid, right? The traditional marketing pyramid. You have a very big market, which is value-based, and that's kind of outdoor weed, right? And then there's a better market, and that's greenhouse, and then there's the best market, and that's indoor, and it's a big base. Because a lot of people buy everyday weed, and they're comfortable with outdoor flower, good potency and price. But there are some people who want that indoor, really perfect bud, all the rich terps and all the stuff you can get. Ohio, we kind of have a brand rectangle because we have so many indoor growers. And I think it's really going to be interesting as the value section, which currently is going to Michigan, begins to emerge. You can have really good flower at attractive pricing. But it's not easy to do. And I think that's going to be an interesting development in Ohio. We're a greenhouse grower, and I'm very excited about that. By next summer, we should have our cost per pound at almost $100 a pound. So that gives us a lot of flexibility to offer a very good quality product at a very low price, and to really help define that bottom shelf market. I think there's no shame in that, right? The bottom sell a lot more Budweiser than you do a fancy Belgian ale. And I think that's a good way to compete with Michigan, is to get that pricing with good quality product in the local market.
Something that's also unique to Ohio is this very slow adult use rollout situation, because one, we haven't had pre-rolls, which is a lot of frequent consumer buying. It makes up, it can make up, equivalent revenue numbers as flower, even though the per transaction amount is much lower. But also, we have not yet seen advertising regulations change like they are in other states. And so, when you have intoxicating hemp being able to advertise the way they are, when you have Michigan being able to, our competing neighbor markets being able to advertise to our consumers, and when you have all of that, consumers aren't able to understand what value is other than promotions and price. We can't really tell much of a story as a brand here. And so I'm coming from Washington, where, the advertising marketing rules are much different, and we're able to tell our story, and you're able to have those brand segments, whether it's outdoor, indoor, greenhouse, but also like what is your story? Because you can be an indoor grower and sell like product that just is the highest THC, no terps, it's just weed. And then you can be a greenhouse or outdoor grower that, specializes in the genetics and has this incredible, living soil situation. You have chickens on your farm. It can be a very different story, even if it's indoor versus outdoor, and you can sell a higher priced outdoor product. So I think until we can tell more of a story ourselves and own our own narrative, consumers don't have a whole lot to go off of to understand the perceived value other than maybe packaging and pictures and price. Yeah.
Man, you guys are full of knowledge. I love this, seriously. Because me being on the sales side, like I listen to operators every day when I'm demonstrating. So hearing these things from you guys on what are the strategies and the tactics that you can put into place right now helps me be better at my job too. We had a very interesting conversation. It was cut short when we walked over here with very interesting answers to educating your customers and what that looks like from the retailer's perspective in store and how that affects the price and affects what they're buying. I would love to hear, it was some fascinating answers that you guys were giving in the back on educating customers and what that actually looks like and if you're really even focused on it.
So education, it's a big word, and it's generally starts when a market is starting, from zero to medical. At the beginning of medical market, education is the key. That's really when you're seeing most of your customers coming in the first time, second time, 10th time, right? Once they know what to purchase, when they've received the education, let's say if I'm a gummy customer and I received my education first 10 times, then I kind of know at that point. Majority of our orders comes in form of an online pre-order. So that tells me that those customers know what they want, have already selected, have already placed an order, have they already paid in some cases. They want to come in, park their vehicle, or go in a drive-through, get their product as quickly as they possibly can, and leave, and have very, very little communication with anybody in between. And we have to respect that. We don't want to force education on someone who is not interested in listening to your conversation. Then there is a segment of population who actually comes in for the very first time, or who actually have time on their hand and always interested, what is the new concentrate? Tell me, what do you have, right? What do you have today that you did not have last time I came in? And tell me more about it. Though that is when we take our time and sit down with them or stand there with them, go over product by product, and provide the education. So education is extremely important. That's how you build loyalty. That is how the first 5 times when a customer walks through your door, they better leave with a smile on their face. And sometimes that's price, sometimes that's how quickly they can get in and out, and a lot more often than not, it's an education. So education plays a role during your first 5 to 10 visit, generally not after that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd add, I think the bud tender has a huge role to play there, because he or she will be able to say, okay, you come here, you know what you want, maybe I can get an add-on sale, love a pre-roll, boom, $10, great. But someone else new at bud tender, just by asking 2 or 3 questions, should be able to know, okay, this is a transaction or this is shopping, and I'm going to educate this person. I think the other thing we all need to be thinking about is how to simplify our discounts. I've seen stacks of discounts in our Dutchie system, and it's confusing as hell for the retail store staff. It's even more confusing to customers. So really think about, finding out what your customers respond to, do more of that, and get rid of all the other little stuff. Because people will stack, the system will stack, somebody will know about one discount, someone else won't, customer will be mad, how come my brother got a discount and I didn't? Just keep it really simple, and I think that tends to drive effectiveness.
In simplicity, and just like the number of discounts on like either a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
That works for us, yeah.
Yeah, your bud tender have to, so we're actually going through the same transition. We believe your bud tender have to know every single discount discount that you have available for that customer. In some cases, you'll have, if you buy 3 carts, it's XYZ, but if you buy 4, it's XYZ. If you buy 2, it's XY. Like we're trying, like in some cases, we try to cater every single customer, whether if you were gonna buy 1, let me get you a deal so you can buy 2. If you were gonna buy 2, let me get you a deal. Well, at the end of the day, your bud tender actually don't remember every single one of those discounts. So if they are offering 3 cart special to you, and my next bud tender is offering 2 cart special to him, and then you guys know each other, and he will be like, well, shit, I could have just spent extra $20 and get my 3rd cart. I'm unhappy because he did not inform me about that. So it goes back. Simplicity is the key.
One thing, though, that we can extract from everything we've been talking about is listening to your customer, right? So, and from a brand perspective, and I will be in retail, and I will be educating my staff on, discounts, consumer behavior, things like that. How do you help the customer feel like they're getting a value, even if they're spending more money? It's listening to the customer, and those are the types of partners that we look for as a brand, because like I talked earlier, like we can't really own our own narrative, and it's the bud tenders, it's our partners who are really able to have those one-on-one conversations, whether it's the person's in the drive-thru and they're like, oh, I see you order this frequently, have you ever tried this other product? Just slipping in those one moment, it can, even if you don't get that transaction that day, it can plant a seed in that consumer's mind, like, maybe I should try something different. So your staff, your bud tenders really drive a lot of business, and even if it's an online order, because they're still having an interaction at the transaction level.
And you coming in as like a trusted advisor as a bud tender, I'm listening to, and then that value, I think the value then, that perceived value from the customer can really start to go a long way. We were talking a little bit about like loyalty programs and helping that with discounting, and you guys had some interesting answers to that, some belief in it and some belief sort of against that as well. Can you speak a little bit to how can loyalty help you maybe not have to be as aggressive discounting, or if it does at all?
I mean, so Ohio, I'll let you speak actually.
No, go ahead. You start.
In Ohio, I'm taking this point. We are not allowed to, customers are not allowed to use their loyalty point for any product that is THC. So the only options we can give, no matter how good of a loyalty program we have, when at the end of the day, when customer wants to redeem those points, your options are T-shirts or hoodie or one of the 5 or 6 other items that we're allowed to carry in our store that is non-THC. So that aspect, I mean, there's not much to it. I mean, when it comes to Ohio, because of this restriction.
But I think, we always say it, new customers are silver, but existing customers are gold. It gives you a chance to communicate in an effective and approved, assuming they've opted in, fashion. You have to be careful discounting, right? You can't offer your loyalty club members a discount that's not broadly available. But really focusing on your returning customers. That's what we all should be focused on. And you may see an average daily transaction for your returning customers drop a little bit, but if they were coming once a month and now they're coming twice a month, that makes up for it. You want that relationship, right? Competition's out there, and if that customer's coming, they tell you you're doing something right, your product, your pricing, your the relationships your salespeople have, the convenience of coming to your store is working, you want to hold on to that customer and do everything you can, because it's expensive to acquire new customers. Yeah.
So talking about getting to know your customers, obviously in store, the bud tenders are doing that on a daily basis and listening and getting to know them. But for you all as operators overseeing everything, are you looking at specific data points, or there's specific analytics that is like a sign that you should be adjusting your discounts in a certain kind of way? Or are you using any sort of like specific providers for that kind of thing on looking at those analytics?
To display the discount?
Well, just to like understand how to maybe adjust the discounting on.
Like a what's working, what's not.
Yeah.
Internally?
Yeah.
Yeah, generally, it's how often. I mean, it's as simple as looking at how often which discount gets used in last 12 months or last 2 months or 3 months or 1 month. But then it depends on how deep do you want to dive in. We tend to dive in pretty deep sometimes, and we're scaling back from them. You can understand all the way through, like why is 2 cards, 2 for $75 versus 3 for $99, and this is Missouri example, is better, and which one should you go for? Like, so Ohio, in generally everywhere we go, we have a 1 gram cards, 3 for XYZ. In Ohio, we actually did a market research, and we did 1 gram for XYZ and 0.8 for XYZ, and our 0.84 sells significantly better than our 1 gram. That's simply because Ohio consumers are used to buying 0.84 versus rest of the America buys 1 grammers. So it's just, you dive in as deep as you want, but the data is available to you by your POS.
Yeah. Lo, Ed, anything you guys want to say to that?
Yeah, I certainly agree with that, and we spend a lot of time at the product level to make sure our pricing's right and our promotional strategies working. Every month we rank our promos and look at what worked and what drove the most amount of business, to take a look at what we can cut out and how we can focus. We also look fundamentally at GMROI, gross margin return on investment or inventory. So if I'm buying from your brand, Lo, and I've got $100,000 worth of product, and I sell, my gross margin on that product is $50,000 over that period, that's a 0.5. But if I buy $100,000 of Shangri-La's material, and my gross margin on that is $100,000, I'm turning his a lot faster. I'm making more money, even though I'm committing the same amount of capital. So I want to do, less of you and more of you to get that efficient return on my capital, because that's what any retailer needs to be doing this. At the end of the day, it's, are you buying product and turning it quickly, turning it into cash to buy more product?
Right.
You want to do more of what works and less of what doesn't. So that GMROI is a great thing to track on a monthly, quarterly, and annual basis.
The other interesting thing is looking at, are my consumers, my own consumers, and then in partnership, my retailers, are they only buying my product when it's on discount? Or are they also buying it when it's not on discount? And so trying to be strategic around how you do the promos, and honestly, it does depend market to market. Like you've brought up Missouri versus Ohio, even like a Cleveland store versus a Cincinnati store, looking at, is a week-long per month promotion better than doing every Friday I'm doing 20% off? Which one's gonna be a better, give us better margin together over time?
How long would you look at that? No, like how long would you look at those numbers before you made like a decision?
We usually do quarter by quarter.
Quarter by quarter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you do, like, I think you need to give it that much time in order to make an educated guess. Obviously, something's not working. We'll tune into that and we can make changes quicker. But giving it 90 days is helpful for us. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. With the last about 2.5 minutes left, let's talk about like what's one piece of advice that you all would give some of the operators in the room about balancing price compression. You can also talk about what the future of Ohio that you're seeing, but balancing price compression with actual lasting value.
I would say just our core is about providing the most value to our consumer. And so instead of looking out the window and saying, what's everybody else doing, really focusing on your brand, your product, making sure it's the best damn thing that you can make, and that's gonna satisfy the consumer, and at what price, that's gonna give you the best lasting impact, as opposed to looking out the window when you can be reactive. So focusing on yourself, your core, and providing the most value to your consumer, and producing the best damn product.
Yeah, I would say it's very similar. Be really good at something, because that product will have a tighter relationship with customers than if you make a whole lot of stuff and it's easily switchable on the shelf. Those prices are likely to see the most compression, and market share leaders or brands that really are known for doing something extremely well, those tend to suffer less price compression. The other thing I'd be doing now is everything I can to reduce costs, including rent, looking at your staffing, transactions per labor hour, payroll as a percentage of sales. Are you driving that down where you can survive if your retail sales are 30 or 40% lower than they are today. That may sound bleak, but that's coming, folks. It is, unfortunately. There's 100 more stores coming, and we're all up in arms about intoxicating hemp, but I'm not seeing people talk about enforcement of that. So I don't think that goes away significantly, even if we get everything that we want. So there are going to be downward pressures on pricing that are going to affect all of us. And you've got to put yourself in a position to survive a much lower pricing level and be able to thrive in that environment.
I'll actually second every word he said. Yeah, I mean, efficiency is the key, right? You want to prep yourself to survive at a much lower gross profit. In that road to that requires you to be efficient at almost every single thing that he mentioned. Beyond that, do keep an eye on your product selection. Make sure that you have a product available in every category at a fair price. And I do also I know it's a bit more reactive, but you want to make sure that you are competitive compared to all the other dispensary within 30-mile radius or where your customers can go to. There's really no magic answer to this. It's a hard work and pay attention.
Yeah, there's no answer to that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, everybody, that is time. Put your hands together for Nevil, Ed, and Lo for taking us through this. Really appreciate everybody.
Thank you for a great morning session, my friends. It's lunchtime. Head next door, just to your right outside these doors. Lunch will be served in the networking hall. Thanks. We'll see you back at 1 o'clock. Thank you.